Our humble little studio.
Thank you.
You did a cross-country sort of trip around radio stations in America, didn't you, recently?
Yeah.
Be truthful, have you seen any as small as this?
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about that. Plenty.
Good. As disorganised as this?
Plenty. Yep.
What's the college radio scene over there like compared to here? Is it as influential?
Yes, it is. It runs the whole. I mean, as far as the size of the places go and the influence they have on the community, it runs the whole sort of spectrum. It's there's tiny ones and there's absolutely huge ones. There was one particular one in Cincinnati we've been to a couple of times, and it's just like the most amazing complex you've ever seen. It's a lot more sort of elaborate than any kind of commercial radio station over here. I think the college scene seems to be hugely influential over there, but I don't think any more than here really. I mean, there's always got to be some sort of alternative to full on Dire Straits and Phil Collins type of radio stations, and I think that it's just on a larger scale. The whole thing is a lot more sort of not organised, but commercially put together. I mean, they have their own magazines and all that sort of things, the tip sheets and those sorts of things. People seem to love charts over there even more than they like them here. So it's very influential, and we did the tour. We actually did one for both records we've had out on IRS in America. We did one last year which was a bit smaller, and one in about April this year which was 4 weeks. We drove from Los Angeles to New York City and back again, and but we could only visit about 45 radio stations, and there's something like 600 college and public stations.
So it didn't really scrape the surface even.
Not really, but I mean, we found that anywhere we went, they usually sort of programmed our record after that, and quite a few of the charts, they sort of went pretty high. The record went pretty high in the charts, which is really good and really kind of frustrating too, because we realised that if we'd been able to get to more, the whole thing would have had a lot more impact. And it's just giving people the chance to meet you and give them a reason to pull your release out of the stack that they get every week, because it's just a phenomenal amount of stuff that they get every week. From all over the country and all over the world.
So at least by doing what you did, you made yourself known, rather than just get lost in the flood.
For the people that we could visit, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, the personal contact was just, it had a tremendous effect. That's why IRS wanted to bring it, after we'd done it the first time, they wanted us to come back and do it with the next release, but a bit more extensively. But it still wasn't really. I mean, it was just a drop in the ocean, but it was, it was really worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple of bands out of high school. Penny hadn't been in any bands, she had been in one band with me. That was somebody else's band, that we were playing somebody else's songs and so on. And we kind of, I started writing songs, and they didn't really fit into the style that the other band was playing. So we kind of quit, and it was a little disorganised anyway, the last band I was in. And we quit and decided we'd form our own band, and Penny was able to play all these different instruments. She sort of had viola training at school and stuff, and that was kind of a nice weird instrument to incorporate into a band. And she could play guitar and sing and so on. And I sort of decided that I'd like to start writing songs and play the guitar. I'd never done it before that. And so we wrote my little brother into playing bass, and got a friend of his from college onto drums. And so that's virtually the way we started.
Right. You were all sort of musically compatible from the beginning, or you had different varying tastes? And
we were also sort of... I was the only one writing songs at the time, so everyone was just kind of really eager to be in a band. So it didn't really... there wasn't any sort of directional clashes at that time, because the whole thing was kind of new and novel to everyone. So I kind of wrote the songs, and everyone would just play what I damn well wrote. There wasn't really much of a choice. Yeah, and but since then Penny sort of started writing stuff, and the whole band is kind of moving towards a slightly sort of harder edge direction at the moment, and that's been an interesting thing over about the last year, 18 months since we recorded the last record. And but everybody it just seems to have been a natural thing. So it's So it works out well. We all kind of seem to agree on most things. It's weird, really.
So when you formed, it was 87, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you sort of have in your mind there where you'd sort of like the band to be by this stage? And
probably a lot more popular.
A lot more richer.
Yeah, a lot richer. A very poor act. But no, things have progressed really well. I mean, I wouldn't have in my wildest dreams have thought that we could have signed to an American label and had 2 albums out over there. So I mean, that's been a great sort of encouragement. But no, things are going fine. I think it's. I always knew that it wasn't going to be. I mean, it's not sort of between your eyes type of music. So I always knew that it was going to take a little bit longer than, the Clouds or bands of that ilk that can sort of get out there and sort of hit people with a couple of
out of nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always knew it's sort of more insidious, our kind of music. So it kind of takes a little bit. It takes a little bit to grow on you, I think, some of the stuff. But I think we're also getting better at writing more directly and economically, so that the pop sort of songs are there as well to grab people's attention. And I always think that's a very large part of making records. Mm-hmm. And a fun sort of a catchy song is a lot of fun to listen to. So I think we're getting better at writing those sorts of songs too, which is good. Mm-hmm. Yes, okay, here I go. I don't even think I've got a title for this one, but here we go. So this could be pretty dodgy, but I'll give it a shot.
Give it a bash.
Okay. With a full moon naked, falling grayer by the hour, light bulbs bleeding on the wall, calling deep and low from out beyond the salt plains, bringing someone back for me. Bringing something back for me. Wishing it would get here, pulling quickly at the platform. Wishing it wouldn't stop at all. Hauling back to us the story of my brother, bringing someone back for me. Bringing something back for me. I read it in the letter, and I heard it from my mother. The medal that he won was mine. Was all I understood and all that I could think take off, bringing someone back for me. Bringing something back for me. Bringing someone back for me.
How's the relation? Well, we know how the relationship's been with IRS. What sort of involvement did they take in the recording of Wide-Eyed and Dreaming?
They actually sent somebody out here.
Did they?
Yeah, much to our annoyance. But as it turned out, the guy was great. You know, it worked really well. He worked on a fair bit of stuff in the States with production. The thing that impressed me, he'd worked on this album called The Town South of Bakersfield, which was like new country stuff from around the Los Angeles area. They've actually put out two volumes of that, which is really great stuff. It sort of had early Dwight Yoakam, Highway 101, stuff like that. Some really good country stuff. And he came out, and you know, the good thing was that all the ideas that he had and all the things that he was going to stress to us on IRS's behalf were things that we were kind of pressing for anyway. So it worked out really well. It was fine. There was no sort of tantrums or anything in the studio. It was great. Penny was a little bit anxious about the whole thing more than anybody because she hates being told what to do. It was really quite good.
Sort of extra pressure on you with this album, with a company behind you, whereas you financed the first one. Did you just sort of feel like you had someone to answer to this time, or?
Yeah, pretty much. It was a case of actually really having to build on the success of, the relative success of the one before. And there always is a pressure to try and sell more records than the last one. I think that, if you can do that, then you're doing pretty well. Also, we wanted to bump up, the production values and have some songs that they could take to radio stations and that were pretty catchy songs and sort of well played and well produced and reasonably sung. And I think we kind of succeeded to a certain point. But I mean, yeah, there is pressure because I mean you've just got to justify the fact that these people are spending money on you, really. And the whole thing comes down to business. And if you don't sell a certain amount of records, hopefully more than the last one, then you've got to kind of your position can be kind of tenuous on a record company, especially the way things are over there. There is the whole sort of record CD buying thing is very depressed the way it is over here. So for to justify having an Australian band, they're going to have to spend money on bringing out, rather than like an LA band or something. They can just get in a minibus and tour around the place and do sort of physically promote the record with the whole band. I mean, you've kind of got to be justifying your position all the time. So I mean, there is pressure. I feel pressure to to make a better record than last time and to sing better, and for there to be a song that's going to do better as a single than the last one. So there's always that pressure. So it's kind of funny when you start out, making records. The whole thing's so kind of pure, and you just think you're going to make these records, and people are going to love you, and it's kind of a rude awakening, really. When you get your first kind of lousy review, or you see these boxes of records at the record company. But never mind.
Never mind.
How have you
Do the rounds of all the companies here first?
My word.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we had no. I mean, I thought Penny was crazy for sending the tapes out to these American labels. I thought she was nuts. But it was. What do I know? It was maybe it was. Maybe it was just dumb luck. Yes. Been a sailor for 1,000 years. Been 1,000 years since I've seen the land, since I held your hand. I've been a miner for 1,000 years. Been 1,000 years since I smelt the sea. Since you saw me. And I will not fade away, and I will not blow away, and I will not walk away. You've been a fisherman all these years. It's taken all these years for you to see what was clear to me. You've always been a hero of mine. You always wrote the words that made me feel so blind. And I will not fade away, and I will not blow away, and I will not walk away. And as the years grow colder, well, those letters you sent are getting older by the day. And as the years grow longer, your voice in my head is getting further and further away. And I will not fade away, and I will not blow away, and I will not walk away.
One thing that always comes up is, like you were saying before, how your music sort of slowly draws people in. Sort of, is that, you're very conscious of that when you're recording?
No, not at all. I mean, I think that's just the nature of the way I write. It's not a conscious thing at all. We've always sort of, in the records we've made in the past, we've always kind of been maybe a little overly conscious of subtleties and stuff like that. But we're learning more how to make things a little bit more immediate, but I hope we never lose the element of, I don't know, the whole thing. A lot of it's kind of a bit miserable, really. A lot sort of, kind of sad or something. But and the weird thing is that we're not like that at all. That kind of always throws people a bit. But it's, there's not sort of like there's not a lot of the sort of elements that you would probably associate with a hugely successful band. So it's with the whole thing with the videos as well. The videos are kind of part of it. We've made 3 videos and so on, and there people sort of look at them and say, oh yes, they're very nice, they're very arty, aren't they? And so I mean, we've never really gone in for like socking people between the eyes type of stuff.
Yeah.
We may do in the future, I think, but
not quite now.
No, not quite now. But it's always kind of worked that way, really. People have, if people have taken the time to listen to the stuff, then a lot of the time they've enjoyed, some of the songs. So that just seems to be the way I write. The whole thing's it's never been contrived, really. It's
just the way it's happened.
It's just come out the way it's come out. So
would that be your same attitude towards like success? Slowly but surely.
Up to a point.
Up to a point,
yeah. We're getting kind of itchy these days. Be able to go anywhere in the country and draw a bottom line of maybe a couple of hundred people. That'd be really nice to be able to do that. To not have to worry whether you're going to make the guarantee that night. I mean, I guess every band has to worry about those sorts of things, but that's one sort of thing when you move up from being a perpetual support band to being, to doing your own shows. It becomes a lot less fun, really, because when you're doing supports, you can just get up, show up to the show and set up and play, and then you go and you've got your fee. But when you've got your own show, there's a lot more pressure for the thing to work and to meet the budget and all that kind of thing. And we found that we still aren't meeting budgets on shows. We still lose money on virtually every headline that we do.
Really?
Yeah. Because we, anything we can, any guarantee we get, we pump straight back into promotion. So I think that's the way to do it.
Do you enjoy playing pubs? Because your music would probably be more suited to a theatre or hall type situation. Does it frustrate you that you're sort of limited to playing the pub circuit?
Up to a point. I think it'd be a lot of fun to be able to put in the production into a sort of a theatre show. Really organise, have a great light show, and have visuals and all that kind of thing. The sort of thing that Not Drowning Waving you've been able to do sometimes. But not really. I think I like a lot of the elements that go to making a show in a pub. I think usually our live shows, much more so than our records, are a lot more sort of upfront and energetic.
Yeah, I noticed that the other week. Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah.
So we do kind of surprise people sometimes that way, and maybe we disappoint them too because they don't hear. If people particularly like the records, they don't hear terribly much of the sort of laid back stuff. The new songs that we've been writing have been a lot more sort of up and energetic and sort of like fuzzier guitars and that sort of thing, and all that is going to sort of come out on our next EP, which we're sort of planning to record hopefully before the year's out, probably in January though.
Right.
Yes.
So that adjustment to your live sound, is that because you're playing pubs, or is that the way you'd like to be playing live anyway?
It's a combination of the two, I think.
Yeah.
I think you sort of can't. I mean, you feel like when you get up in front of a pub audience, you feel like you want to put a lot of energy into the show, and have people sort of be able to sort of move around and that sort of thing. So there is that element of having to have been played in the pubs all our sort of all the time the band's been going. But I think also we're just there's a lot more stuff I listen to these days, which is a lot noisier than the stuff which I've listened to in the past. So that's kind of influencing me as well. And we just like to kind of push the extremes a bit more. And have some noisier stuff, and still have a lot of the sort of quieter stuff too, which is why a lot of people like us in the first place. So we're not going to forget that, and I think I probably write those songs better than the other ones. So
a lot of bands fall into, wouldn't it, giving up their day jobs and putting all their eggs into the one basket.
I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine not working, and I don't think it's a bad thing either, really. It's
well, it would have helped you finance a lot of your early work, wouldn't it?
Well, that's right. I mean, nobody's going to offer you $20,000 to make your first record unless you're very lucky. I mean, there are people that sort of luck onto these sorts of deals, but they're kind of few and far between. If you believe enough in what you're doing, then you put your own money behind it. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, the sort of record companies don't owe you anything, really. I mean, it kind of irritates me when people get really worked up about the fact that they can't get them a deal, be it major label or independent or whatever. If these people don't want to put your records out, then there's nothing you can do about it, and there's no reason why they should. I mean, there are a lot of good people making music that don't get the breaks they should. But I mean, that's life. If somebody's not going to bankroll it for you, then you just got to do it yourself. Have a lot more time for writing songs. But I mean, that's all part of what I was saying before. You just got to. I mean, there are a lot of people sort of a lot worse off. So I do okay, really. The job I've got is really flexible, so that helps a lot. As far as writing, I just kind of make the time for it. So things are sort of, they could be better, but they probably could for everyone.
Yeah, true.
True.
Yeah. It's the end of the collaboration in songwriting with you and Penny.
Well, basically, it's I come up with the basic. It's kind of a weird area, this one, really, because it depends how you define songwriting. I kind of got credited for all the songs on the first couple of independent releases, and then we kind of decided that Penny really should get credit too, because a lot of the things that she puts in kind of make the song what it is. But then a lot of people would say, well, the initial idea is what the song is. I mean, you can't work on a song unless it's there. I mean, the initial inspiration is the writing of the song, but what we've kind of come up with is, when it comes down to the contractual thing, it's 75-25. We've kind of decided that Penny's worth to the song is generally around 25% of the writing, even though I come up with the initial idea and then take it to her. She puts in whatever she feels, or whatever we decide, whatever we come with together, whatever instrument, and then we kind of take it to the band. So it's more of a sort of, I mean, the co-writing thing is more
fine tuning.
Yeah, and it's more sort of general sort of writing of the song rather than sitting down together with a couple of guitars and kind of trying to come up with a bunch of chords, because I find that I need to do that by myself, very much by myself, come up with the initial sort of melody, guitar part, words, before I can take it to anyone else. I couldn't sort of imagine, sitting down with somebody in a room and trying to write a song. That kind of, I don't know, if you I feel too self-conscious about it, so that's kind of the way it works with us, really.
The hindsight's a good thing. With that, would you change anything on the latest album? Or were you totally happy with it?
Oh, there are always things you change, I think, always. I mean, you can get really pedantic about things, and, but basically I think, it's fine. I really like it a lot. Some things more than others, obviously, but there are little things, but I don't think it's very hard for somebody who's in the band and writing the songs and has been there since the start to have the objectivity of somebody just hearing the songs, for the first time. And that's a lot of the fun of listening to music is hearing new stuff and the way it hits you the first time. And I'd be the worst judge of my own band's things, output. So not really. I don't let myself get worried about those sorts of things. It just, once they're done, they're released, there's nothing you can do about them. So you don't tear your hair out.
You'd rather think about things. Rather think about the next one.
Very much so.
Yeah. What with instrumentation on your album, you've got piano, accordions, tubas, and strings. Is that there are spur of the moment sort of decisions in the studio, or
some of them are. The tuba was very much so.
Yeah.
I can't remember whose idea it was, but it was pretty inspired. I thought it's ended up being a real highlight of that record, the tuba. Everybody kind of picks up on that. A lot of the other things, pedal steel, that goes sort of back to my love of country music, and I just love the sound of the pedal steel guitar. I'd have it in all the songs if
you had your way.
Yeah. So anything sort of slower, I'd love to have the steel in, and we were lucky enough to get the Triffids steel player to do stuff on our latest record. But we've always been interested in using anybody who can play something different. We use Craig from the Killjoys a lot to do like string scores and stuff for us, and to play his trumpet, and that's the sort of stuff that makes it fun for the band to listen to, stuff that they haven't been able to think of themselves. There's kind of nothing better than when you're recording a song and somebody comes in that you've asked, you think, oh, maybe a piano accordion or whatever would sound good in this, and then they come in and it just fits perfectly. It's something you haven't, you can't sort of conceptualize yourself because you don't play the instrument, but you think, oh, it might sound good, and they come in and put a part down, and it just sounds fantastic, and it's really like a highlight of recording, getting other people in to do stuff on your records. We've always been interested in using whatever instrument kind of suits the thing. That's kind of an advantage, not just of not sticking to the two guitars, bass, drums format.
So what's in the future for Sea Stories?
Recording, basically. An EP should come out early next year, and then hopefully another EP to follow quickly, and then an LP. Maybe not all in the same, sort of 12-month period, but it gets very frustrating not being able to release stuff as you'd like. To have to wait a calendar year to release, another 10 songs, it's just not necessary. There are a lot of bands releasing a lot more, and it always keeps them under everybody's noses a lot more, because a year is a long time to wait for, especially if you're waiting for an album by a band that you like. It's a heck of a long time to have to wait.
Certainly is. So another album late next year, possibly.
Yeah, but there'll be a couple of EPs.
In the meantime.
All new stuff.
Okay.